So the Duffy trial resumed today after a 2.5-month break, during which time we had a little thing called a federal election. But even though the context has kind of changed as far as the government being, the government that was in power not being in power anymore, there's still obviously, the rest of the Crown case to go forward. The defense has to put on theirs. Act 4 has begun, and I wouldn't say the circus is back in town, but there's definitely some life in front of the old courthouse yet. I have to say that it did start out on a bit of a, let's say, a slower than usual note. We heard from a Senate IT guy who explained in somewhat excruciating detail how the pricing plan worked for the blackberries. This was one of the charges related to the Duffy's facing relates to him allegedly using money through the Gerry Donohue's company to pay for a blackberry. Anyway, long story short, this was probably an improper thing to do, or at least that's what the Crown is trying to suggest. We also heard from a woman who used to work for Senator Trevor Eaton. She was actually mentioned before in previous testimony as having given advice to Melanie Voss-Mercer, that was one of Duffy's staffers, as well as Diane Scarf. She had said that, allegedly according to these, that basically pre-signed forms were pretty normal. That's how everyone did it. That's how business operated. Well, she denied that pretty stoutly, and that was an interesting kind of contradiction or impeaching of a previous witness. I'm not sure how much ground it kept with the judge, but you never know, right? In the afternoon, I saved the best for last, we finally got to hear from Gerry Donohue. Now, this is the former CTV broadcaster whose company, for company that are kind of affiliated with him, received $64,000 in contracts from Duffy's Senate office. He is there to basically explain what it was that he did for this money, why it was that it seems to have been used more as a reserve fund to pay for expenses that Duffy wasn't otherwise able to sort of put to Senate administration, and kind of clear up a whole lot of loose ends. And he testified by video because he's got some health issues, so he's not able to come in person. But he spent, I guess, a total of about 2 hours under examination by Mark Holmes, that's the Crown, by video, explaining sort of what was going on. And I have to say that by the end of it, it became pretty clear that there are a lot more questions to ask, and that the use of this money and those contracts seem to be, as far as the defense case goes, that's the one they're going to have the most difficulty, I think, in kind of suggesting this was all a matter of ambiguous rules. It does seem like there was something a little strange going on here. But you know what? That could change, not tomorrow, because he's not back until Monday. Tomorrow we're going to hear from Nicole Proulx, that's the Senate Administrative Finance Clerk, who testified in April and is now coming back. And that's about it for Day 47. We'll be back here on Day 48.